for the benefit of the other consultants, let's just tell them your stories. Take me back from the very beginning. Why don't we go from there, and hopefully we can share some insight for the other new consultants just getting started.
I had been looking at your site and had gone through, and I'm really just one of those that loves listening to audio tapes and watching training videos and that type of thing. So I was attracted to your site, and I ended up listening to some of your management consulting tapes in that series. So I was in between jobs. I had been laid off by a company. I had been with them for going on 2 years. And just because of the economy, I was in outside sales with them, and they merged with another company, and I was let go. So after a while, money was running out, and I hadn't been able to find anything. And I wasn't really that interested in getting into the outside sales and traveling again anyway. And I really just was taken in by your offer with the HMA consulting practice.
How much traveling did you do in your outside sales job?
My territory for the last year and a half was Washington, D.C. to Portland, Maine, and west to Pittsburgh.
So out of the week, how many nights were you away from home?
2, 3, easy. But the worst part is the travel. I was calling on hospitals and healthcare systems. So I was driving 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes for a half-hour appointment. That was the brutal part of it. But it gave me a lot of time to listen to the HMA series.
So from your car you're listening?
I was listening right in the car. Yeah, iPod is iPhone. I went right to your site online.
I got you, and clicked on the MP3 and it plays.
When you send your emails, I can click right on them and then go to the download. I click on MP3, starts playing.
I got you, and just streams right through your phone, no problem.
Streams right through.
Okay, yeah, it makes your drive go by a little faster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So 2 to 3 days a week you were out, and so you decided you didn't want to go into outside sales again. You contacted me about the HMA, and you got started.
Yes. I received it over the July 4th weekend. I think I got it that Friday evening before that weekend. And the area that I live in is the Atlantic City area, the South Jersey area. So summertime is great time down here, but it's very busy with local businesses, and our enterprise businesses, everybody's on vacation. It's a bad time of year to start new business, but I also looked at it as a time for me really to get ramped up. So I just delved right into every one of the tapes, and I would watch the DVDs either on the computer or at home, and then during the day I'd be listening to the individual sessions on the iPhone. And I practiced. I did all the drills and listened over and over again and wrote out the scripts, and within a couple weeks I felt at least ready to go. Now,
so do you have your first one-on-one client?
I do. I have 2 one-on-one clients. My first client was one of my neighbors here in the building. He's a residential solar installer.
Tell me the process. You felt like you were ready to prospect, and you thought of this neighbor in your building, someone you had a warm contact with. How did you approach him from the very first time? What was your plan? How are you going to get him as your first client?
Well, I had already started cold calling and had gotten a couple appointments, got some decent feedback, but for the consultants, like you said in the beginning, I was just going with the opportunity analysis. So I was going right by the book. So with him, I actually stood in front of the elevator. That was how the conversation happened, because he, fortunately for me, asked what I was doing these days. It just started, and, the elevator pitch was helping him grow his business 35, 45% next 60 to 90 days. I did back it off a little bit based on some of the feedback from some of the recordings. I did say 35 to 45% in 90 days.
Did you find him saying, well, how do you do that?
Yes.
So when someone says, how do you do that, what would you tell the consultants? What is your next job as a consultant when they say, how do you do that?
Well, within that particular question, I usually say it's done through, a series of optimizing different business processes and sales and marketing processes. Tell me a little bit about what your business is. I always go back to trying to bring it around to the questioning off of the opportunity analysis. That tool really is the step-by-step process that needs to be followed. So with him, he was talking about his installs where he had classified ads in the paper, and he was putting signs on the homes that he was doing, and he was getting calls off of that. So as I was going through that with him, I immediately thought of the way that the realtors hit neighborhoods, and that he could go out and follow up with sales letters and flyers to all of the homeowners in the neighborhood about what the neighbor's doing, and we got creative with some of the headlines.
Did you ultimately sit down and take them through a full opportunity analysis?
Yes. That was the next step after we walked away from the elevator together.
You had a solid appointment to meet with him?
Yes. I told him that I needed a couple hours, and we came in on a Saturday morning, and that was the time that both of us would have a couple hours, and we sat down, and I had taken the document that you gave me and changed the heading to my logo and name on it, but kept a lot of the script in there so that I had a cheat sheet while I was flipping through, and really just followed right down that plan.
What did you sell him on?
The $2,500 for the US pay for the first module, and we agreed to do a back end because he's more of a startup. We were really creating his material together.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to have to do a lot of integration work because we were going to be creating that really with the development of the USP. And then the back end arrangement came because, he's relatively new and he's got money out for his equipment and the installs and his crew, but the margins are very generous on these installs.
All right, so he wasn't sitting on a ton of marketing assets. He was a startup, but even a startup needs a USP if they don't have one.
Oh, absolutely.
So you have an agreement for maybe a percentage of gross sales based on your systems?
Yes.
How'd you get the second client?
The second one was at, one of the SCORE meetings. The SBA has the SCORE offices, and this particular SCORE office has a business networking meeting once a month. So I was able to get a slot to present rather quickly because I knew the organizer that was putting that together. And I did Richard's PowerPoint presentation, and again, I took it right from the setup that it has, and I eliminated quite a few of the slides because I was limited time-wise, but I put my own logo on there and modified it a bit, narrowed it down to 17 slides, and we flipped right through just because most of the business are startups and they're entrepreneurs. But this meeting is a lot of network people as well. And one of the women raised her hand and said that she'd been to a lot of these meetings before and seen a lot of chamber events, that this is the first one that really had information that they could use. And that she wanted to, this is in front of the whole crowd, wanted to hire me right away. And she called me that afternoon and hired me right on the spot.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. Many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com, and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.